Nobody knows anything, so don't let him fool you. Welcome to the show. I don't know who's going to win. Do you? Every poll, this one's up, that one's up, that one's ahead, that one's ahead. Republicans are going to sweep. They're not going to sweep. It's going to be a red wave, a blue wave, a pink wave, a yellow wave. No one knows. But then again, if you're in the radio business, you have to fill up 3 hours with hot air making believe you know. So in order not to join the crowd of the know-nothings, I'll tell you I don't know. I have no idea. Do you? You don't know. They're all experts. So that's number one. Now, if President Trump came on this show, which you won't do, what would you ask him or say to him? Apparently, he's not interested in the Savage Nation anymore, which is fine. I'm still supporting him, but apparently you don't matter because now it's Fox News 24/7 in the White House. But if President Trump ever would have come on this show, what would you ask him or what would you say to him? Now, let me go back to the polls again. Polls are unpredictable. As we all know, Indies and Repubs tend to not reply to pollsters. I never have. But here is the naked truth. If the Republicans manage to hold on to all three branches of government, meaning the House and the Senate, will we have endless riots and upsets until 2020? Would the nation be better served by a split government where the rat bum Democrats control the House and they can vent and make believe that they have some power? I'm asking it for a good reason. Now, I've got many, many replies to this on my Twitter and Facebook feeds, and most of you say no, let it, let's get it on, arrest them. You can't arrest people. But why is the turnout so high? Why is voter turnout so hysterically high for this election? Donald Trump has a lot to do with that, for sure. The lying fake media has a lot to do with that, that's for sure. But we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. In fact, during the show tomorrow, we still won't know. That's the odd part. I'm going to have to do this again tomorrow and tell you I don't know. Because the show is on from noon to 3 on the West, 3 to 6 on the East, and the polls will still be open, so we don't know what's going to happen, But I'll tell you what I am going to do for you today, which is this. I live in the crazy state of California. Now, I've lived here since 74. I love the geography of the area. I wouldn't trade it for any place on earth, or I would have moved a long time ago. But it's a very difficult place to live if you're a rational, sane, American-loving, white, heterosexual, Christian, or Jewish male. I will tell you that. And so I opened up my voter information guidance sample ballot, and I thought I'd share with you what will happen in the rest of America should the crazy leftists win. Here are a sampling of some of the state propositions that we have to vote on, and wait until you hear the prices of some of these. Now, of course, for the governorship, we have a choice between a communist and a Leninist on one side, and then we have an American independent governor, John Cox, who I definitely recommend you vote for. Vote all Republican or independent. Vote no Democrats unless you want more corruption and more bankruptcy. Proposition 1 authorizes bonds to fund specified housing assistance programs. Okay, so now you read into the... Authorizes $4 billion in general obligation bonds for existing affordable housing programs for low-income residents. Then they throw in veterans, farm workers, manufactured and mobile homes, infill and transit-oriented housing. I don't know what infill housing is. Fiscal impact. Increased state costs to repay bonds, averaging about $170 million a year over the next 35 years. Did you hear that number? $170 million a year over the next 35 years to build housing for low-income people. Proposition 2 authorizes bonds to fund existing housing program for individuals with mental illness. Now, if it included the legislature in Sacramento, I would vote for this immediately. If they were to be immediately interned into a mental hospital, they would have my vote instantly. But it amends Mental Health Services Act to fund No Place Like Home program, which finances housing for individuals with mental illness. Ratifies existing law establishing the No Place Like Home program. Allows the state to use up to $140 million a year of county... I'm getting bored already. $2 billion in bonds. Proposition 3 authorizes bonds to fund projects for water supply and quality watershed, fish, wildlife, authorizes $8 billion in state general fund bonds, infrastructure projects. Oh, no, that's a boondoggle. That's for the contractor mafia to get some building jobs. They don't have enough. They're rolling in money. $430 million a year over 40 years for the contractor mafia. Proposition 4 authorizes bonds funding construction at hospitals providing children's health care. Again, for the children. Authorizes $1.5 billion in bonds to be paid from states. I don't even know what it does. To do something in a hospital for children, I don't know what it's for. Proposition 5. I can't even follow that one. I have a PhD and I've been in the business a quarter of a century. I can't even understand Proposition 5. Here, Proposition 6. Eliminates certain road repair and transportation funding. Requires certain fuel taxes and vehicle fees be approved. Now, that's an important one. Everyone's talking about this one. This is a biggie. This is a big deal. Fuel taxes, we want them gone. Let's see what happens there. Proposition 7. The liberals have a thing about daylight savings time. They all want it eliminated. Conforms California daylight saving time to federal law. They want the legislature to change daylight saving time. I don't know what the libs are against. Is it because they have to get up when it's dark out and they're all stoned in the morning? What's the problem with daylight saving time? I love daylight saving time. I like when it gets dark early. It gives me less to do during the day. I don't really. You want to face more of life day and night? Proposition 8 regulates amounts outpatient kidney dialysis clinics charge for dialysis treatment initiative. How did that get on the ballot? How many people are getting dialysis? Okay, Proposition. This one I don't understand. Prop 11 requires private sector emergency ambulance employees to remain on call during work breaks. I've heard ads like this around the clock on the local radio station. What in the world is this? A law entitling hourly employees to breaks without being on call would not apply to private sector ambulance. Why is that an issue? Okay, here's another one. See what happens when you have a liberal government that's out of control. Now, here's one about farm animals. Maybe you can relate to this. Prop 12 establishes new standards for confinement of specified farm animals, bans sale of non-complying products, initiative statute, establishes minimum requirements for confining certain farm animals, prohibits sales of meat and egg products from animals confined in non-complying manner. Fiscal impact, state costs up to $10 million annually to enforce the measure. I'm 100% for it. I want cage-free birds. I want I want the cattle to roam the prairie, whatever, the land. I don't like them in cages. It makes me sick. So that's where I'm 100% unpredictable when it comes to animals, and because they all look. If you don't even if you eat animals, which I do, you have to understand that the animal is a creature that feels, and so when you're eating an animal that's in fear, and you're eating an animal that is terrified its entire life, and you eat that meat, you're actually eating some of that animal's. If I put it in the word karma, you'd think I'm crazy. It's not the karma. There's probably some chemical reactions that wind up in the meat that you wind up getting, which is why there's such a high level of anxiety in this country, amongst other reasons. I stand by those words. Look, I'm not Rush Limbaugh. I'm not from Cape Girardeau. I understand things that people who call themselves conservatives and live in the 50s don't understand. I've evolved. They haven't. God bless them all. There's room for all of them. But, man, I am so tired of being lumped in with the lumping. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think it's funny to kill animals. You know, I was at a party Saturday. And a friend of mine, who I won't mention, nice guy, military guy, he's having his birthday party out at a ranch up in Sonoma. I didn't know what to expect. Now, I've lived out here for 25 years, so I drive up. It's in the foothills of the wine country. Go down the country road. You see the trucks. It looks like a cartel ranch, but it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying it wasn't like a pretty little ranchette by a gentleman. This thing looked like like El Chapo. Like if El Chapo had a ranch in Mexico, that's what it looked like. The old big trucks, you know what I'm saying? Also, old farm equipment, ruddy road, dust. I didn't know what to expect. I go in a hangar. Now, if I were a liberal from New York and I walked into that hangar, they would have called 911. They would have probably had to take a pill and call 911 in an ambulance. It was filled with men and women in army fatigues. Like 50, 100 people in military fatigues. Yeah, you picture a woman from New York walking into that hangar. All right, but it's a nice party. My friends, I knew some of the people there. And one guy after another came up to me. My friend said to me, he's from West Point. He graduated West Point, 2 tours in Vietnam, paratrooper. I mean, these were wonderful men. These are the bedrock of America. So one of them came up and said, "We love your show very much, Dr. Savage." And I said, "You guys are the backbone of America. I'm only the voice box." You know what one of the men said to me? Men said to me, said, "Yes, but a very important voice box." I mean, this is the kind of gentleman. These are the people who keep this country going. And then I wake up and I see this piece of garbage on Saturday Night Dead, which is a show only for junkies who don't work. And there's a comedian, truthfully, I swear to God, I'm not being sarcastic, I never heard of this schmuck, mocking a former Navy SEAL who lost an eye in an IED blast. I want you to listen to this piece of trash, this waste of human DNA who is below Kim Kardashian in clip number 2.
This guy's kind of cool, Dan Crenshaw.
Oh, come on, man.
Yo, hold on. You may be surprised to hear he's a congressional candidate from Texas and not a hitman in a porno movie. I'm sorry, I know he lost his eye in war or whatever. Whatever.
You hear these pieces of crap? You know, I would give $100,000 to see this piece of garbage released into that airline hangar where I was with all the military men, without his bodyguards and without his entourage and without his drugs, and then close the door on the airline hangar. I'd like to see what happens inside that airline hangar for the first 5 minutes. I give $100,000 to video that and release it to the public. I think I'll take a break.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400...
Man, bread man. Now the word man itself is... So we're marking time. I mean, you want to turn a show on it. I got this to tell you about that, and there's no guarantees getting ahead. There's no question Republicans are going to win. There's going to be a guaranteed red wave. Yeah, hey! That's what you want me to do? Turn on Sean Hannity. I guarantee you get plenty of that today. You want a Connie Barker, you know where to go, with the part down the middle. I do a different kind of show, that's all. I'm just marking time here. I'm like babysitting. I'm babysitting America till the election tomorrow. Then in 3 hours again tomorrow, I got to babysit you because nothing's going to be known until Wednesday. The real show is Wednesday. So I'm doing what I do. Let's take some calls. Gary on WABC, glad to have you. Welcome to the program. What's on your mind? Where is he? Gary, you're on the air. Go ahead, please. Oh, this is good radio. Jim, could you please wake up? I know it's not Jim. Gary's not there. All right, whatever. All right, let's go on to the next caller. Do you know what most people are calling about now? That piece of garbage on Saturday Night Live, a low-life, unknown comedian who mocked a former Navy SEAL who lost his eye in an IED blast. Now, I'll play it again in a minute, but I want to instead play the Navy SEAL hero who lost his eye to protect pieces of drug-addicted garbage like the comedian. And so listen to Dan Crenshaw, who actually lost his eye in combat, even though he was mocked by this nobody. Listen to clip 3.
I want us to get away from this culture where we demand apologies every time someone misspeaks. I think that would be very healthy for our nation to go in that direction. We don't need to be outwardly outraged. I don't need to demand apologies from them. They can do whatever they want. It's they're feeling the heat from around the country right now, and that's fine. But I would like him and Saturday Night Live to recognize something, which is that veterans across the country probably don't feel as though their wounds they received in battle should be the subject of a bad punchline for a bad joke. And here's the real atrocity of all this. It wasn't even funny, right? It was not original. It was not funny. It was just mean-spirited. And that's how I feel about it.
Well, you see, this is the merit. This is the right stuff compared to the wrong stuff. Saturday Night Live is filled with the wrong stuff. They're the worst of America. They're the worst America has ever given us. If it's sick, if it's degenerate, if it hates mother, if it hates father, if it hates country, if it hates family, if it hates the church, if it hates children, then you make it to Saturday Night Dead. It's like the Night of the Living Dead. And we've put up with it for years. I mean, I'm not lying to you when I tell you, I'm a certain age. I have never, ever watched a full segment, not even a segment of Saturday Night Live. Even when I was young, I found it stupid. I thought it was just predictable garbage from a bunch of drug addicts. I never found it funny. So they get this jerk who mocks a Navy SEAL who lost an eye in an IED blast. And nothing happens because the vermin who run Saturday Night Live are immune. Do you understand that the entertainment industry is absolutely immune from public opinion? Do you understand that? I hope you understand it. This explains how they get away with what they get away with. Am I calling for censorship? Yes. I want self-censorship. I want to see the censorship that we used to have in movies when the men who ran the movie industry would not permit certain things to go out onto the airwaves. Yes, I want to see that day back again. Will I ever see it again? Not in my lifetime, because the commie left vermin, drug-addicted slime have taken over the entire entertainment industry.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855.
All right. Whatever happened to the caravan? They're like petering out in Mexico. The concertina wire was put up by the president, which is a good thing. But we'll see. You know, the cartels will push the women and children into the wire, get a few of them strung out on the concertina wire in order for Wolf Blitzer to have a little headline. That's a horrible thing to think of, but that's the way it works when you're working with a world like this. I am really angry about that guy on Saturday Night Live. If there was any justice in the world, he would be fired. But since filth worse than him runs Saturday Night Live, he won't be fired. It's as simple as that. And that's the end of it. We're talking about them, which is all they want. And so what's this going to come to? Tell me what it's going to come to. Mocking a former Navy SEAL who lost his eye in an IED blast is now, that's comedy? WABC Tom, line 1. Go ahead, please. What's your topic?
Hey, Doc. I just wanted to let you know, the comic you're talking about, I know him, and it's disgraceful because his father, that comic father, died going into the 9/11. He died in 9/11, his father. And I'm a former New York City fireman also.
Well, I understand that this piece of garbage had a father who you're talking about who died in 9/11, and he mocked his own father on the air?
No, he didn't mock him, but as far as being disrespectful.
I was told that he did mock him. He made a mocking remark about his own father on one show.
Yeah, he did. And he said Staten Island should fall into the ocean. And also, when I was in the VA hospital last week entertaining the troops, which I do voluntarily as a comedian and realize what he did for our country, he's a piece of garbage who really should be called out for what he did. But the bottom line...
Yeah, but it's not him. It's the people who run Saturday Night Dead. They're the ones who are responsible for letting this piece of trash our troops, especially our injured ones. It's not him. He's a nobody. He's just a puppet of them.
But as Ellen told you 2 weeks ago, Dr. Savage, the comedian who I know, when these comics, all that Ron Michaels wants is he's a doper, he has a pothead look, that's all they want, that's on the show. I don't like the sneer on his face. I'd like to see the sneer on his face wiped off his face. I agree 1,000%, Dr. Savage.
Tom, I want to ask you, how do you get to work in a VA hospital as a comedian? Like if you go in there, who do you arrange it through?
I'm through Wounded Warriors. I know certain people, and I'm somebody where I was a fireman for a few years. I was a teacher, and then when I go in there, you and I spoke before about Jerome, about you.
I'd love to go into a VA hospital where guys are, and go in with my old dog and make some jokes. It'd be fun.
No, I'm a ventriloquist comedian magician, so I've been doing it many years. But as Ellen said, my life.
How does ventriloquism really work? Like I grew up on Charlie McCarty and Edgar Bergman. Was he really good?
Well, actually, I think Charlie McCarthy, Edgar Bergen was a great ventriloquist, but once on the radio, he stopped using lip control. But Charlie McCarthy was the most recognizable voice in America at one point in history.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is different. How do you do ventriloquism? Will you throw the voice? How does that work?
It's mostly visual. I mean, in
other words, I always watched it. Even as a kid, I knew they were bad ventriloquists. As the dummy is talking, their mouth is moving. I didn't even understand why they were called a ventriloquist.
Well, it's the movement of the figure. But, like, for example, Paul Winchell was a brilliant ventriloquist, but also he was the original inventor of the artificial heart, because you're a doctor. I know you know that. He was
Well, I'm not a medical doctor in that regard. I'm a doctor of the brain. But let me ask you something. Is ventriloquism really hard to do if you move your mouth while a dummy's moving it? How hard is that?
It's hard, but when you do things, a lot of it's the movement of the figure, how you make it come to life visually, because...
Right, so it's really the figure and making it animated rather than whether your mouth is seen moving. Because, you see, kids see things more clearly. I would watch ventriloquism, and all I would do is watch the ventriloquist's mouth to see if I could see it moving. And the minute I saw it moving, I said, he's not a good ventriloquist.
Right.
It's the same in talk radio. When I listen to them making believe that they're conservative in order to con the audience, to me, they're like ventriloquists. They don't mean, most of them mean nothing of what they say. This is why I'm so agitated. Do you know what conservative values mean to most people in the radio business? Lower taxes and more money for them. That's all it means. Well, I mean, they hide it behind Constitution and big government. You ask them, oh, you're against big government? Then why don't you say a word about Trump building a bigger government than Obama had? Oh, you're against big government? Then why don't you talk about the budget blowout that we have right now, Mr. Ventriloquist? Do you understand why I'm not liked in this business on either side?
I do, Doctor. I followed you many years.
Yeah, I'm like the odd man out. I've alienated everybody in the business, left, right, center. People in the radio industry hate me. They hate me in politics on the conservative side. I'm like not wanted anywhere. And you know, it's a great place to be because it makes me more independent than ever.
Last thing
I know you're hanging on for something. What is it you want from me? You want a book?
No, I just want to say one thing to you, Doc. I have one eye also. I lost my eye years ago, and I laugh about it. I say with one eye it takes me 2 hours to watch 60 minutes. I laugh about it.
Oh, stop it. That's terrible.
Put me into teaching. I taught many years. I was a teacher of special ed students.
No, I often wonder about blindness. You know, I think about it a lot. Like, sometimes, like, let's say I'm watching a movie at night. I say, why am I wasting my vision on this trash? Why am I sitting here watching Ray Donovan for an hour last night? What am I wasting God's given eyesight on that garbage for? I ask myself questions like that. But it doesn't really help because I still watch it the following week. All right, thanks for the call. We milked that one for all we can. I got a bigger problem in my life right now. I got a dog, Teddy. I know you don't want to hear it. All you want to hear Democrat, Republican, who's winning, who's losing. Is he up? Is he down? What did Trump say? Leave it for those who that's what they do. I have an issue, a real problem. So Teddy's 15, and he's getting a little sicker and sicker. And I don't mean like, you know, in pain, because if he was in pain, I wouldn't be having this conversation. He coughs a lot. And it's a hacking cough like a grown man who has like a cigarette cough. It's bad. In fact, I'm embarrassed to take him anywhere. They think that I'm, hurting him. So, okay, so I try like Benadryl for children. It calms him down at night. 5:30 in the morning, he's like waking me up with the cough. I got to get up. I got to take him out in the dark with daylight savings time. And I say to myself, I mean, how much more of this can I take? So I'm asking, is there a retirement home for old dogs? I mean, look, if it was your father, let's say, you had a parent, a mother, a father, and they have emphysema. All right, you get him treatment, but at a certain point, you can't keep him in the house, right? You take him to assisted living, then they move up the floors as it goes on. My mother, God rest her soul, I remember. She was on the first floor, then the second. She said, if I go above the second, I don't want to be here. You know how it is. The sicker you get, the higher you go. You can laugh at it all you want, but it's really not funny. I mean, they sit there in fear they're going to be... When they hear they're moving up a floor, it's like you may as well kill them. It's a terrible thing. But do they have retirement homes for dogs, like something like that? I don't know. Does anyone have like a poodle retirement home? How many things can I create? I'm going to create a poodle retirement home now. I don't know I don't know what to do with them. I give him the Benadryl at night. It calms him down. He sleeps. And then 5:30, it's like a truck driver's in my bed with me, coughing. I wake up like in a shock. It's dark out. It's cold. And there's like a truck driver coughing next to me. It's horrible. It's life. You know what it is about an old dog that's sick? I'll tell you what it is you see yourself in that dog. And when he's a part of you, You've all been through it. I had another one. The last 2 years were horrible. We gave it to a person with a ranch somewhere up in the country. She lived an extra 2 years because I wasn't overfeeding her anymore. And I remember visiting her the last day on Earth. They called me and said she's not long for the earth, so I went up there. And I laid on the grass with her, and I looked in her eye. It was really sad, you know. I saw the light in her eye. It was out of the light was almost gone in her eye. She's a little like a lassie-like dog. I loved her. The kids were young when I got her, and I remember her jumping over. Oh, I don't want to be maudlin right now, but you know the whole thing with pets. I swear to God, I'm never getting another one. Never. I've had enough. No more lassies. I don't want them. How much life can you take coming and going? You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough human beings leave you and get sick. Now you got to live through the poor little the little dogs. They bring you joy, but then at the end, look what you got to put up with. Look what you got to put up with. Is that life? Is that what you're supposed to put up with? All of this garbage. I'm not interested in the election. What, I'm going to sit here and talk about something I know nothing about? The sure sign that a talk show doesn't know what he's talking about is someone who tells you that he knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Whoever tells you this is a toss-up and you got to do this, McCaskill does that. There's no question that Lindsay can move that way and that. This been Trump. If you hear that, you know it's garbage. That's all. That's all. That's all. If you hear someone telling you they know, they don't know. Who is this Schmendrick that they all refer to? Silver. Nate Silver. Nate Silver. You say, I don't even know who he is. He got everything wrong except once. Nate Silver says this. Nate Silver. Sounds like a cigarette. There used to be a package of cigarettes that people smoked years ago, like skinny cigarettes. What do you mean Nate Silver? Who is this Schmendrick? I don't even know what he looks like. I imagine he's like skinny with a little beard. He lives somewhere in Brooklyn on his parents' money. They probably bought him a nice $3 million condo years ago. And he's like revered by the left wing because he got everything wrong. So they can relate to him because he always gets everything wrong, but nevertheless they ask him, why are you famous? Because I get everything wrong. But I'm still seen every night on another television show. And I'm revered, but I don't understand. The society is going crazier by the day. Anyway, here we are. It's at the end of the dinner, my friend's party rather, getting back to the deliverance party. I asked, I said, where's the bathroom here? It was like this ranch and this big hangar with this fatigues. So they pointed to another outbuilding on the El Chapo property. I'm joking now. I'm giving it. So I walk across the grounds to the men's room. I come upon a pig, a dismembered pig that had just been cooked with the head off. And I put it up on my Twitter feed. People freaked out like you shouldn't have posted it. I had never actually seen a pig's head cut off. I'm staring at the pig's head, taking a picture of it Saturday on the way to the bathroom or the way back from the bathroom. And a guy comes over, a big guy in military fatigues with like a machete in his hand. And he says to me, I'm the one who slaughtered her this morning. I said, hi, nice to meet you, really, very tasty. I didn't eat the pig. I mean, I don't know, something about it. I mean, you know, you go to a butcher store, let's say. Let's say you go to Safeway or a market. It's in a package, you don't see the head. Like it's like a pieces of ham in there, you know what I mean? Or like pork or salami. You don't think of the animal. But when you see a head on a barbecue, let me tell you something, you know what you're eating. The head was chopped off. The thing looks like he got hit from behind because he didn't know it was coming. Anyway, that's the world we live in. It's a vicious world. Make no mistake about it. That was definitely not a party for vegans. Here we are. What are we talking about? Let's see. Vet. I asked you a leading question. If President Trump came on this show, which is not happening, what would you say to him? That's number one. For some reason, they've turned away from me. I know what happened. Once the guy from Fox News became the communications director, whatever his name is, I forget. I don't know his name. Bill Shine. Bill Shine. Was out of work for a number of years, but he was picked by the administration to be his communications director, a real prize. So once Shine came on, he's a buddy with Hannity. They're like blood brothers. That was the end of the relationship with Donald Trump. And that's the way it is. I understand alliances in this business. I understand how they work. But this show will go on one way or the other, and the presidency will go on one way or the other. And I am likely to see the president in December one way or the other. But he's not coming on this show because Bill Shine says drop dead to the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-SAVAGE.
Tell you the truth about most home security companies. They're like dealing with another bad cable company, right? You're going to sit around your house, wait for technicians, and then spend hours on the phone saying they didn't even come. And then when you're at your wit's end and you want to get out, sorry, you're in a 3-year contract. You don't need that. No one does. If you're looking to protect your home, go with Simply Safe Home Security. They're the best at what they do. Simply Safe is real. It's comprehensive. Every window, door, and room in your home will be protected. The system is beautifully designed to look good in your home. You'll actually want to use it, and you can install it yourself. So listen to me. Using Simply Safe makes your home safer. It's that simple. They put in backups in case, let's say, you lose power, you lose your internet connection, or someone attacks the system. They have backups in the system. Best of all, you get 24/7 monitoring with police and fire dispatch for just $15 a month. And unlike other home security companies, Simply Safe has no long-term contract. It's the best around-the-clock protection, period. Protect your home today. Please do this now. Get free shipping, free returns. Go to simplysafesavage.com, simplysafesavage.com. And now back to the horrible news of the day. So here's some good news for you, by the way. If you go to michaelsavage.com, and I want you to write it down because it's going to become more important than ever come January when my podcast begins. Yes, the radio show will go on. You will still have 1 to 2 hours of radio on your local station in most cases. But there's a free podcast for those of you who can't get the show or want to listen to what I did, or it's a different broadcast altogether. You're going to get it for free every day. So I have a good news for you. I put a sample Savage podcast up on michaelsavage.com this morning. And all you do is click on it, and that's the end of it. It's that simple. You'll see what it's like. And we'll see what happens in January, how it works out. Right now, you'll see a sample. Savage gives you a taste of his upcoming podcast. And then if you look at the link, it shows previous shows that have been podcast going back November 2nd, November 1st, back in time. But if you want a taste of my upcoming podcast and you want to catch me come September in a market where I'm not going to be or whatever. Now, here's another story. Hundreds of Jews contact gun training academy after Pittsburgh attack. I say thank you, God, long overdue. Let them learn from the Israelis. It's long overdue that liberal Jews gave up their gunophobia and recognized that they need to defend themselves. It's a terrible thing to admit, but that's the way it is. And so that's a sad statement of reality, but that's the reality we live in, okay? The phone number here is 855-407-2822. We're talking about topics that may or may not interest you. I brought one up about ballots on the California, initiatives. And one of them is about cage-free animals. A proposition is on the ballot to make it illegal to buy and sell animals, meat and egg products, from animals confined in non-complying manner. I support it 100% because I don't like torturing animals. Now, I know it's going to raise the cost of chickens and beef and all of that, but I'm willing to pay those few extra cents. I always buy cage-free eggs now. They taste different. Why do you have to buy an egg from an animal that's been tortured? Why would that make you happier? What, makes you more of a Republican if you buy a tortured egg? It makes you more of a Rush Limbaugh listener if you eat a tortured beefsteak? The world has evolved. Human beings have evolved since your grandfather.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7288.